They say your net worth is your network. Most of the opportunities I have in life is just because I knew someone, and because of that they introduced me to something else.
My biggest networking tip is to get around people who are professionals, and you can do that by learning old man business sports.
Juggling classes, making friends, studying tips, saving money. We're talking about all things college and giving you advice with real college students. Featuring today's hosts, Carlynn Greene, James So, and JC Rodriguez. Welcome to the Campus Underground podcast. Sit back, relax, and learn new hacks.
What's up, beautiful people? This is the Campus Underground podcast. My name is JC. I'm joined here with James, Carlynn, Kenny, Tyra, and Emma. Today we're talking about all things college, and we're going to keep it real, relevant, and relatable. Today we're speaking on the topic of jobs, internships, and just setting ourselves up for financial success while we're in college. All right, so as we know, college is really expensive, and we really want to make sure that we're making our time worth it. And now that we're getting into the summer, the topic of internships and getting summer jobs are at top of mind. So I wanted to ask you guys a little bit more about how we can set ourselves up for success in our internships and just set ourselves up for financial success even after college. So what are some tips and tricks that you've done or you've seen to get a good internship during the summer?
I would recommend really looking for things early on because deadlines pass faster than you think, and schoolwork comes in and suddenly you don't have time to work on applications. So I definitely think find a bunch of stuff maybe over winter break if you have time then. And plan ahead of time so you have the time to complete those applications so you're able to get them in to get those internships.
Yeah, I can agree to that. I feel like it's really important to be timely, but also think about things ahead of time. So if you have a professor that you like working with or just being a regular professor, maybe that's a conversation you can have during midterms, are there any opportunities during the summer? Can I work with you? And also think outside the box. There might be places closest to your house. I always do no commute, so I try to be able to walk to work so I don't have to pay for transportation, and then find those jobs that are close and convenient.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And just being able to use your network, definitely reaching out to people and seeing if there's opportunities that they might have lying around for the summer, or if there's people in your past that you feel like an old job back from the summer that maybe you want to reach back out to your old boss and see if you can pick up some hours. They definitely are willing and open and able to give those opportunities out. And I do think that using your network is something that's super helpful for a lot of students during the summer.
I think summer is the most important time to set you up for success throughout the year. Personally, school is really hard for me. So I've had semesters where I had school and then I had to work and then had to balance relationships, and I just was my mental health was just plummeted. So for me, I found a way to find, you guys are saying, set up a plan for a summer job, grinded out the summer, made money, had fun, traveled a little bit, took a little break, and then that way I had money for the rest of the year where I could just only focus on school, maybe a little bit of work and relationships, and that helped me so much. So I think really using the summer as a good setup for the rest of the year can really help you a lot.
Mm-hmm. And then when you got start you're rolling with your job, your internship, when the school year starts up again, at least you have an idea of what that workload is like, and then you can adjust things around that. And I really like what you said about just finding the internship in the first place. You got to ask. You don't get an answer unless you just start asking around and putting yourself out there. So what are some of the different backdoor tricks or different avenues you've had to get an internship?
I would say for me, so I'm involved in various professional organizations relating to media, relating to journalism. And so I would constantly check the emails that they would send out. And then eventually I came across an internship opportunity, and it was all expenses paid. And it was amazing working for one of the top news companies in the world. And so I would say to definitely check those emails and to definitely get involved in organizations, because a lot of times they have exclusive opportunities only for their members.
Yeah, I would definitely even say, don't be afraid to email. Find an email on Google and then email them directly, whoever the hiring manager is. It's not always we love Indeed, but you Google one thing, you get 1,000 jobs. Go straight to the source sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Dude, because I was a business major and we always had these internship fairs. And if you're at those things and you just give your business cards out to people, like you're just getting lost in the mix of students. So you got to go throughout these unique paths to make yourself stand out a little bit. Like actually replying to the emails or actually sending an email really sets you up for like just being special and like increasing your chances.
I think LinkedIn too. Like I found a lot of cool opportunities through there, just sending like a bunch of messages to people. Like just type in like whatever you're looking for, and like there's so many people that pop up, and just send out an email and you never know what happens.
Yeah, I think kind of adding on to that, like sometimes I feel like I'm afraid to apply to a bunch of different things because I'm like, oh, well, what if I get this one thing and then I have to say, oh, sorry, no. But I think it's better to apply to things and be able to then weigh your options after you figure things out. So yeah, don't be afraid to apply to things if you have the time, because you never know what could work out. And I feel like things always work out the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Like, what are some of the fears that students face before getting their first internships and jobs?
I think imposter syndrome can be a big thing. Being someone that is like a college student that doesn't necessarily have the professional experience, especially if it's somewhere where there aren't too many other interns, it can be scary to just be like thrown into a professional environment. But trusting in yourself that you have those skills, and also knowing like you are an intern, you are there to learn, can be super helpful.
I think one thing too is you're not going to get every internship you apply for. So I applied for a few, and I had like kind of like a dream list, and I didn't get any. And I was so discouraged and I was so angry at that time. But looking back, because I didn't get those, I was able to pursue other things, like mainly social media stuff. And because I got rejected from those internships, I'm like where I am at now, and I'm so happy where I'm at. So I think not getting discouraged if you don't get what you want, because there's always other opportunities.
Yeah, sometimes rejection is redirection. And tying back to what you were saying earlier about imposter syndrome. So with my internship that I talked about earlier, I was their very first ever intern. And so I was very nervous, thought I couldn't really, navigate the place properly and everything. But one thing that really helped was they had like an orientation meeting with me. And so that really helped dissolve any fears and worries that I had. So having that before you really go into doing like all your tasks for that particular internship, that can significantly lessen the amount of nerves that you have. Yeah.
And also balance. I feel like it's easy to be afraid of like, are you really going to be able to balance everything? Like you have classes. I was a student athlete. You have like activities and clubs and organizations. You have personal life, family, health. So there's so many things happening, and some people will probably not take that step and do internship because we're barely managing. Like it's never easy, like all these things to manage is difficult, but we also have to think about our professional like careers outside of like the struggles we're dealing with now. So I feel like balancing can also be a huge fear.
Yeah, and I feel like getting or being discouraged because the opportunities that you have received isn't exactly what you were looking for, and then being like, oh, well, I don't know how much this is going to help me or something, but then learning so many new things from like that internship or that opportunity or something like that kind of gives you more perspective on different parts of your life or how you interact with people or how you do things. And so there's always something to learn, even if it's not exactly what you thought you were going into in the first place.
Yeah, like you just have to go in with the mindset of I'm just trying to learn. It's not so much about how much money I'm going to make. I think that's a way that as college students we can avoid feeling those fears of imposter syndrome. Like we're not trying to be a professional because we're not. We're students. And I think we can see that as a disadvantage, but a lot of it can be an advantage to us. Like we're literally like a puppy dog that like wants to learn. And if they see that kind of initiative from us to try to reach out to a professional, a business owner to like want to help them out, they'll actually, I think as a human, they'll probably be like softer towards us and more, have more mercy towards us in the hiring process.
Yeah. Also what you were saying earlier with time management and internships, sometimes there's also like micro internships. So it might just be like for a weekend or just a couple of days as opposed to several weeks. So that's definitely something to look into. But yeah, you can go ahead now.
Yeah, I was going to kind of back off that. A lot of professors, they want you to come to them and ask them for things because it's one thing just to teach, but like they're also professors and teachers for networking purposes and they want to help other students. So like you doing that small thing is just asking or sending that email. Most people like people, so it makes you feel good when someone else sees that you could help them and you can work together in a team to like be better. So taking that first step can go wrong, but like it's always in strides, learning experience.
A question I have is, so I think most people know internships are valuable, but like I have a lot of friends who don't really know like what they want to do. So like I even have friends who are graduating and they don't really know what they want to do. So like, what are your guys' thoughts on like you want someone who wants an internship but doesn't have a lot of like direction or guidance? Like what would you guys say about that?
I would say to find an internship of where you can rotate different roles within that given industry that you're in general interested in. So tying back to that internship that I did, so we had different roles for each day. So one day I would be like the line producer and then the graphics producer, all these different types of producer roles. And I had a similar class during undergrad for journalism where one day we were the producer, the anchor, the reporter, graphics person, all these different roles. And so having like that variety present can really help you with really narrowing down what you really want to do in that industry, because what you initially wanted to do may not be what you actually want in the end. So definitely look into that.
And me personally, one of my college jobs or internships was working for a smaller company. They were in logistics. But it was just cool to be in a smaller firm where the company wasn't so organized, where like, all right, interns, you go in this room and do intern things. Like I was actually able to see all the different aspects of a business and see what I liked. So I'd probably recommend just working for maybe a more low-key company, and you'll be able to get a better idea of like all the different roles at the same time.
Yeah, and I definitely I've had like different internships where like the coordinators have been like, if you're interested in anything else, like reach out and we can pair you with another intern in that department sort of. And so then you can sort of learn a little bit on the side of another skill or another part of the internship, but also like not being afraid to like do multiple different internships in different fields to try to see what best fits for you. I'm like considering 3 different like career options. And so I've done like one internship in one internship in another, and one internship in the third. And then at the end, I'm going to be like, okay, which one do I actually want to do? So I feel like that's definitely, if you have a plan and if you kind of, especially and with the rotating internship, like there's a lot of programs with, especially like big companies and stuff, they do a lot of like rotating intern where they go through like different sections of the company or different creative things that they do, but it's like completely different pieces of the puzzle, so you can get a feel for all of them.
I was going to say, it's okay if you don't know. Like, a lot of people are really afraid, it's May, they're about to graduate, and they still have no idea. And that's a good percentage of college students. So it's okay to not know, but I feel like the best thing about college, you're able to explore those interests and those passions that you like. And the world is changing. There's so many more job opportunities and things that we just enjoy doing as kids, So even if you don't know, it's okay. But that's where you have to tap into other areas of your life. And then from there, a quick Google search. But I definitely agree, like getting a variety of internships can do you best, because then if it's a good resume builder, but then again, like you'll get clarity on what you want to do. So, but even if you don't know, like join the crew, it's most of us. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a balance between getting the most out of college and giving ourselves some grace to explore, but also we want to set ourselves up financially too, going out of this. So have you guys had any paid internships?
All paid.
All paid?
Never unpaid.
Do you think unpaid internships are worth it?
For me, no. But
I'm in one right now. I feel like it is worth it because of the circumstances I'm in. If I had more hours with the company and if I had more time there, I definitely don't think it would be worth it. But just because of I set up a system where I feel like the compensation is worth the name against my resume.
Sounds like you have like a flexible gig.
A little bit, yeah. I have it's like a 1 credit, 50 hours over the course of the semester. So I can only do like 4 hours a week. So it's not bad, but it's definitely would like to be paid.
I know a lot of friends and family, because they had an internship somewhere, they were able to get a job there after graduation.
Yeah.
So again, just depending on circumstances, like if like like this company is known to like help you get a job there, then maybe that's worth it. So it's really just up to your own like discretion. But I just know like a lot of people, like because of that, they like meet people or whatever, and it sets them up for like future success.
Yeah, I think also my school personally has funding that you can apply for unpaid internships, or even if they're paid, like if you need housing and stuff, you can use that money for that. And I know all schools don't have that, but that's something good to look out for and see if there are any options or even any sort of scholarship funds not through your school that you could apply for that if there is an internship that you're super interested in, but you also need to make money.
Okay, so for me, when it comes to unpaid internships, all the internships I had were either paid or all expenses paid. So if it has that instead, without like paying me a salary, paying me hourly, whatever it may be, then I'm okay with it. I need my money, so yeah.
Yeah, and I think it depends on like how much work you're doing. Like for me, I'm in my master's program. So the internships I get now, they're jobs, right? So it's a lot more time consuming, a lot more work. So with that, a little payment may be needed. You might need to travel, do a story. So I think it depends on your level, but you should always like look into those resources. Like at Boston University, they call them fellowships. Like you can apply for a fellowship and it's an internship with a stipend. It might not be a lot, but it'll be able to help you kind of learn what it is to get paid, because at some point we're going to get salaries and get jobs. So that's just a little touch of it. And if we're financially smart, maybe we can use that to save and kind of invest in other things.
Mm-hmm. And then speaking about being financially smart, we're trying to keep our costs low, right? while we're here as students. What do you guys do to keep as much of that money as possible? Like, how do you guys save?
One way I save is meal prepping. It's easy to save money with that. Then you can meal prep anywhere. So you don't have to go to like Whole Foods or ShopRite. You can go to the dollar store and get some pretty cheap things, but create a couple meals for a week instead of eating out every day, because that's so expensive.
I think budgeting sounds so simple, but for me, I just never learned budgeting, and so I would just spend all the time. So like sitting down and writing how much you're making and then how much you can afford. I think it's so simple, and I never did that, and I was always broke. So I think being able to like actually like look at the numbers, like this is how much you're making, like this is how much I can spend. That helps like so much in the long run.
Yeah, I definitely found like random weird hacks. Like our dorm building, you could like request toilet paper. So like I saved on toilet paper by getting like large amounts of dorm toilet paper brought to our rooms that would last us for like multiple months. Yeah, just things like that. Definitely, like if you don't want to go out and your friends want to go out, but they're trying to convince you and it's going to break your bank a bit and you'd rather stay in, save the money. Like you're not going to miss much. I promise.
I feel like a lot of schools have a lot of resources that students don't take advantage of. Like my school they had like, I forgot what it was called, but it was like this ticket where you'd buy it and it would give you a bunch of coupons for like certain groceries. Like the campus would like almost like collaborate with certain places where like it was cheaper. And so yeah, just like look into like your school's resources. Like you'd be surprised what you can find.
Yeah. I think also just kind of going to events where they're like run by your school or around, there's like free food all the time. We'll have like food trucks sometimes, and that's really great too, because I mean you have the like dining hall food. I have a dining hall where it's just like swipes, I can get unlimited food, but it's not always the best. But so when there's like a food truck close to my dorm, I'm gonna go and get food from there because I don't have to pay for it, and it's a good food. So kind of taking advantage of all those events that have free stuff and not just food. Like, I mean, sometimes they'll just have like chapstick or whatever, but that's like one chapstick you don't have to buy. So
yeah, and it also, you're socializing hopefully at those events too, and participating in campus activities, so it's a win-win-win.
Emma's in like 20 clubs. Yeah. Keep track of all the events.
I love the org fairs. You just walk up and just grab
Oh,
things.
candy.
A little conversation. Yeah.
For
Try
any
to
of-
buy a pen.
For any of your schools, do they have like food pantries? Mine had a food
Yes.
pantry.
Yeah, my school definitely had a food pantry. It was like near like a career fair kind of area. You can get like business clothes and you can get food.
Yeah, they have one in the library of my school, and it's like open to everyone. And it's like kind of unknown, but also I think they're definitely trying to get more publicity out about it so people know about it. But yeah, that's another thing, like ask about it. A lot of things in college, the way to succeed is to ask, whether it's like getting internships, getting resources, stuff like that. It's always better to just ask and get a no when you could ask and get a yes.
Keeping this mindset is important not only in college, but even afterwards. There's this thing called lifestyle inflation. Like once we start making the big bucks, we start raising our cost of living, right? And of course, in trying to earn the big bucks, what are some things we can do in college to set ourselves up for an actual career now?
I would say building your work portfolio as much as possible, whether that's from internships or getting certificates online, watching from YouTube videos. I learned so much from YouTube alone. So building up your work portfolio, your resume, and then simply just asking for opportunities, even if you're like not 100% eligible for that internship, or even in my case, I negotiated to be eligible for certain scholarships and then ended up winning them. So that's just a bit of an example for you guys.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, especially like, it's a lot of anxiety thinking about what's going to be after college and like after graduation. But I think if you're able to overcome that fear and preparation is key. If you prepare, your level of success, the rate, it increases. So I say do what we can by preparing, but if you can't, I feel like institutions, they're there to help students. Like that's what they do. So if you ask one person, you never know what that might connect you. But this world is big now. Like a Google search can really get you far. Like applying to those scholarships and be specific about certain things you want to do or like certain demographics you may be a part of. Like there's certain things for specifics. Like everyone is counted for, but we just have to take that initiative.
They say your net worth is your network. And I'm just huge on who you know. Like I feel like most of the opportunities I have in life is just because like I knew someone, and because of that, like they introduced me to something else that helped me in my life. And so again, it's just like kind of what we were saying earlier is like setting everything up. Like in school, like right now, make sure you do your best to go meet people and just connect and find opportunities, because like I have a lot of friends right now who are graduated and they have no clue what they're doing. I had a friend who like was looking for a job, and there was like some event going on. It was like a big event. I don't know exactly what it was. And he's like, I need a job. I'm just going to go to this event and just talk to people and see what happens. And he was just shaking everyone's hand at the door, and he ended up talking to like some huge CEO of this company, and the guy liked him. And my buddy was like, hey, like I'm looking for a job. Like, do you guys have one? And he's like, yeah, like let's jump on a phone call. Long story short, he got a job there. And fast forward another couple months, he's like pretty high up in the company. Like they laid a lot of people off, and my buddy's still there. And I talked to him about this. I'm like, dude, it's crazy. I remember, because like I was roommates with him, and I was like, dude, I remember that one day you're like, I'm just gonna go out to this event just to like find a job. Obviously, that's a very extreme case, but like the point being is like really putting yourself out there to like talk to people and connect, and you never know what can happen.
That's so true. My biggest networking tip is to get around people who are professionals, and you can do that by learning old man business sports. So like golf, tennis,
baseball.
Luckily, I had a tennis background, and I ended up playing a match with a guy I found out was a CEO of a company. And that connection, because they are actually themselves when they're like on the golf course or on the tennis court. And that led to me getting my highest paying job in college. It was like $23 an hour. And I was like, whoa. And that's because it was just one of those non-traditional ways of finding a job that wasn't usually put out there in like a typical career fair. Just to wrap things up, does anyone have any final thoughts on just having financial success while in college?
I said this before, but I'll say it a million times. Just ask. that's kind of been, I guess, a theme we've been going on, but you never know what's going to happen if you ask. And I'm someone who's very anxious, especially socially. So sometimes it's scary to ask. But just remembering that the worst thing is going to happen is they're going to say no. And you'll move on. And the best thing that's going to happen is you get something awesome out of it. So I think it's really worth the risk.
That's perfect.
I think one last thing too, and this might sound a little weird, but don't be so stressed about money. I know it's hard to think that when you're broke and you're like trying to like find food and stuff, but like seriously, I think as long as you try your best, like money is always a byproduct, and that's something I've seen in my life, is you try your best, you put yourself out there, then money and all the other success comes.
I would also say, tying back to what you said about just asking, even if you ask and you are given a no, try again, like renegotiate and everything. Because like I recently had a student, like with her financial aid package, the amount of money that they were trying to offer her wouldn't have allowed her to continue her education. And I was like, you got to keep at it, because sometimes with these financial aid offices, they'll give you a no, but then if you are persistent, they'll finally say, sure, here's some money. So now she's able to finish up her senior year without any student loans. So sometimes you just have to be persistent when you're asking.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed listening to this, please make sure to subscribe. It's free, and you'll get a lot out of it for your own college success.